So today we're going to show you how to mount and align the NeverMiss stroke trainer and aiming aid. So we'll pop off the box cover, take out the manual. This is the Q mount, and you can see here that there's a little protective pad, and we're going to just place that back in the Q mount, and it'll protect our Q stick from the mount. Now, the smooth part there is the part that mounts on the Q, and then the part of the ring that has the ridge right here is the part that the laser mounts in. So we'll just slide the protective pad in there, and you can see here's the socket screw. I'll just kind of loosen it up a little bit so it's nice and loose. I can slide it down the Q stick. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the protective pad out just a little bit, because when I slide it down the Q stick it's going to tend to want to slide back in. So I'll pull the pad out just a little bit so you can see it hanging over there, and then as I slide it down the pad slides in and centers on the Q mount, and it just makes it easier to slide it on there. And I just put my fingers there and then slide the whole thing down. I'm going to slide it down just past the joint of the Q stick. Now I'm just twisting it here a little bit to align it, the pad and the Q mount, and then I'll pull it down, spinning the Q stick a little bit and get them all nice and tight and lined up. And now I'll take the laser and I'll slide it into the Q mount. I got it a little tight there. I'll loosen it up just a little bit, give myself a little more room, slide it in there, and then slide the whole thing back down until it's snug. And I'm going to just make sure the distance between where the laser is and where the remote on-off switch is right. And then notice I turned the laser right there. I want it loose like that so I can turn it so that when I do my final alignment I can line it up with the Q stick. Here what I'm doing is just tightening up the socket screws so it doesn't spin quite as much. I want it snug in there, but I want it loose. So now it's a little tighter. There, I got it. That's just about right. And I snug it up there. And now here I just turned the laser so it paints right down the center of the Q stick, and you can see the laser light right there. And I'm just looking at right where the laser hits the Q stick at the beginning right there. I just want to center that right on the Q stick. So I get that nice and centered, turn it off, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on the remote on-off switch ring mount. I'll pull that apart. I'll just slide that down the butt end like this, and I'll just get it on there, and I'll adjust it about where my grip hand goes. And then once I got it adjusted about right for the grip hand, I'll lock it on there. Just give it a couple of clicks so it's a little bit snug. I still want to be able to move it, but I'm just making it a little bit snug there. Now you saw that the laser moved a little bit. I'm going to put on the remote on-off switch. Screw that in there real quick. And of course the laser turned a little bit when I was doing all this, so I'm going to have to align it again, but that's okay. I'm pretty close now, so tighten that in there. Turn the laser on, and then I'll just spin the laser here until it paints the Q stick, and you can see it just paints the line right down the Q stick. So there, that looks pretty good. And this is just a rough alignment. Now I'm going to take the remote on-off switch and I'm going to feed the wire into the ring mount. And remember, there's a little groove in there. That's where the wire is going to go through, because I don't want to pinch the wire. So then I'll feed the on-off switch in there, and then I'll pull the ring mount down. And I'll pull it down where it's just about where I want my grip hand to be. And of course I can make some final adjustments before I'm ready to go, but that looks pretty close. Now I'll just activate it, and you can see the laser's off a little bit, and that's why I leave it loose. I just spin it there and make sure that it's centered right on the cue stick, and it looks like it's pretty close right there. Now I'll take the small Allen wrench and I'll make some fine adjustments to the alignment using the set screws in the front of the NeverMiss. And what I'll do is I'll just adjust it slightly so that the laser line that's painted over the very tip of the cue stick bisects the cue stick exactly in half. So it's not a little bit over to the left or a little bit over to the right. That looks pretty good there. Make one final adjustment here. Tweak it a little bit. Let's see how that looks. Yep, that looks pretty good. So that's how you mount and align the NeverMiss stroke trainer and aiming aid.